Does your baby always seem hungry? They breastfed an hour ago, had formula not long ago. Maybe they even just ate. But they're still fussy, still crying, still acting like they want something. And at that point, many parents start thinking, maybe my milk isn't enough. My baby isn't getting full. They're always hungry. But I want to tell you something very important. A baby acting unsettled does not always mean they are hungry. And sometimes, parents mistake hunger for something completely different. In this video, I want to explain why babies can seem constantly hungry, what may actually be happening underneath that behavior, and why the real issue is sometimes not food at all. Because understanding this can reduce your stress and completely change the way you respond to your baby. First, we need to understand something important. Babies do not cry only because they are hungry. This is one of the biggest misconceptions in parenting. Especially in the early months, many families interpret every cry as hunger. But babies can also become unsettled when they are tired, overstimulated, gassy, uncomfortable, too hot, unable to fall asleep, or simply needing closeness. And here's the interesting part. Many babies also want to nurse when they are exhausted, so parents naturally think they must still be hungry. But sometimes the baby is not looking for food. They're looking for comfort and regulation. Especially during infancy, sucking is not only about nutrition. It can also be calming, soothing, regulating, and emotionally comforting. So not every feeding cue equals true hunger. Now let's talk about something that is hugely underestimated: sleep deprivation. Because an overtired baby can look almost identical to a hungry baby. Think about it. Your baby keeps crying, wants to be held constantly, settles briefly, then becomes upset again. And naturally you think, they must still be hungry. But sometimes what your baby truly needs is sleep. When babies become overly tired, stress hormones can rise, and this may lead to more crying, difficulty settling, and frequent comfort feeding. In other words, some babies constantly want the breast or bottle not because they're starving, but because they're overwhelmed and exhausted. Which means sometimes the solution is not more feeding. Sometimes the solution is looking at sleep and overstimulation. Now let's talk about growth spurts. Because during certain developmental stages, babies genuinely do want to feed more often, and that is completely normal. There are periods where babies naturally nurse more frequently, wake more at night, and seek more closeness. But the important thing is this: these phases are often temporary. Many parents immediately panic during these periods and think, my milk supply dropped. My baby isn't getting enough. I need to start solids. When in reality, the baby may simply be going through a completely normal developmental phase. Frequent feeding does not automatically mean low milk supply. In fact, in breastfed babies, cluster feeding is often part of the body's natural way of increasing milk production. Now let's talk about fullness. Because adults often think, if the baby ate a lot, they should stay full for hours. But babies' bodies work very differently from adult bodies. Their stomachs are tiny. Their digestion works differently. And breast milk is naturally digested quite quickly. So frequent feeding can actually be biologically normal. A baby feeding often is not automatically a problem. What matters more is the overall picture: growth, weight gain, diaper output, energy levels, and general development. Now let's talk about another problem created by social media: the obsession with keeping babies full longer. Many parents are constantly searching for foods that will make babies sleep longer, stop night waking, or keep them full all night. And because of that, early solids, unnecessary cereals, high-calorie mixtures have become extremely popular. But waking during the night is not always caused by hunger. And honestly, babies are not robots. Some nights they wake more. Some phases they need more closeness. That can be completely developmentally normal. Especially during the first years, unrealistic expectations about perfect sleeping babies can create enormous stress for parents. Now, I want to mention something else that's really important. Sometimes parental anxiety can unintentionally reinforce the cycle. Because if every moment of discomfort immediately leads to feeding, babies may begin associating every uncomfortable feeling with eating. And I want to be very clear here. I'm not talking about ignoring hunger. I'm talking about learning to understand your baby's signals more deeply. Are they truly hungry? Or are they tired, overstimulated, bored, uncomfortable, gassy, or simply needing connection? Learning to tell the difference matters. Because one of the hardest parts of parenting is realizing not every problem is solved with food. And honestly, social media makes this anxiety much worse. Parents constantly see content saying, "Your baby may still be hungry. Your milk may not be enough. If they wake at night, they must not be full." And this creates enormous fear in many mothers. But baby behavior is rarely caused by one single thing. Babies are complex. And sometimes what they truly need is not more food, but more sleep, more regulation, more closeness, and a calmer environment. I want you to remember something important. Good parenting is not only about feeding your baby. It's about learning to understand them. And yes, that can be incredibly hard, especially when you're exhausted yourself. Because when you're sleep deprived, every cry feels urgent. But over time, you begin to notice something. Not every cry sounds the same. Not every fuss means hunger. And little by little, you start understanding your baby's signals more clearly. So if you saw yourself somewhere in this video, you are not alone. Almost every parent goes through the phase of thinking, "My baby is hungry all the time." But sometimes, the real issue is not hunger at all. And understanding that can reduce pressure on both you and your baby. And if you enjoy calm, science-based parenting content that actually reflects real life, stay here with me. Because on this channel, we're going to talk about baby nutrition and development through understanding and evidence, not fear and guilt.